Hey, good morning. It's a beautiful cold day here in Toronto. I thought I'd talk about something today that I think everyone will deal with at some point, and that is setbacks. Look, life is going to have setbacks. And whatever those setbacks may be, I think there's a few things that we need to consider when it happens. In the moment, when the thing that is a setback happens, we need to first take a breath and ask ourselves, is this actually a setback? Or is it an inconvenience? Is it a mild irritant? Or has it actually set you back? So I've taken the day off today, and I just dropped my daughter off, and then I dropped my son off, and we got to my son's school, and I said, dude, where are your mitts? Oh, I left them at Ivy's school. Man, I was looking forward to dropping my son off, heading to my favorite coffee shop, having a coffee, maybe reading the paper, and just enjoying a quiet morning. And I got so irritated that he left his mitts, and I got to drive all the way back over and pick up the gloves, then drive all the way back to his school, yada, yada, yada. And I got pissed. Not like yelly pissed, but I got upset. And in my brain, it was like, this is going to set my day back. It's not a setback. It's a mild irritant. He's a kid. He's going to forget his gloves. Shit happens. So the first step is really, is it actually a setback, or is it just kind of annoying? And man, if you're going to get derailed, and I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you, if you're going to get upset about minor setbacks and irritants, be prepared to be upset all the time. Life is just a bunch of little irritants that we just either choose to ignore or bounce off of or laugh at. There's no more to it than that. So the first thing is take a breath and go, really, is this that big a deal? Is that really a big deal? The second thing, if it is an actual setback, if this is a major issue, let's say you're trying to achieve some financial goals and you had an unexpected loss, whether you had a fund set aside for it, but now your fund is depleted, or you didn't and you had to maybe borrow or do something. It's important to remember that in the context of what I'm talking about here, every day is at best a skirmish, maybe a battle. It's not a war. In other words, a little setback doesn't cost you the war. It might cost you the battle on the day, but more than likely, it's just going to cost you a skirmish. So what does that mean in the context of war and battle, right? The game's not over. A setback isn't a failure. A setback isn't a reason to quit. But so many of us get setbacks and we collapse under the weight of the setback, and we act as if the war has been lost. Everything is done. We might as well quit. It's a skirmish. So what do you do when you lose a skirmish? You back up, you regroup, you reassess, and you try it again. And that's it. Don't make it bigger than it is. You know? And if it is a big setback, if it changes your life completely, well, then you know what? Go back to your vision and reconnect with your vision. And find out if that vision still holds true. Is it still something that I'm able to do? Maybe the setback is a catastrophic injury. Maybe it's something that puts you in a wheelchair, costs you a limb. Maybe the setback is a marriage failure or the death of someone that you care about. You know, when I use the word setback, I'm not assigning any severity to it. I'm not saying it's a little thing or a big thing, right? So don't, they're all different sizes. But if it's something huge, if it's something that is really life-changing, I would argue it's still not the end of the war. Maybe it's the end of that battle. But you got to go back to your vision. And if the vision still holds true, then you reconnect with it. You really get involved with who you are and what you are going to become. And if this is not going to get in the way of that, then so be it. You plow on and you regroup just on a larger scale. But you know what? If it does change things, and that happens, we are required to be resilient. Human beings are required to be resilient. It is what allows us to survive. So that may require redefining your vision. It may require a pivot. And that's one of the things that I want to touch on when I talk about a vision is a vision is very important. The vision connects you with where you want to go, but it's a fine line. You can't hold on to it so tight that if something happens and you don't achieve it, you collapse. You have to ride that edge of it's so important that I'm going to fight for it, but if I can't achieve it, literally can't achieve it, I'm still going to survive. I'm still going to move on and I'm going to thrive. And that's all. It's not any more complicated than that. Resource up, learn a new skill, pivot. So one, is it actually a setback or is it really a mild irritant? Have you just left your gloves somewhere else? If it is, don't overestimate how powerful it is. It's probably just a loss in a skirmish. It's maybe a loss in a battle. Chances are very good you haven't lost the war. I think that as long as my heart is still beating and I am still breathing, the war is still going on. And I'm not trying to say that life is a war. It's an analogy, right? Life isn't always combat, but it's an analogy. So number 2, how big is this? And then number 3, if it's big, reconnect with that vision of yours. Just find out what has changed, what you need to do, and then you may have to start that vision process all over again. And if you do, I'm sorry that that's happened to you, but so be it. You're a resilient human being and you can do it. So hopefully your day doesn't have any setbacks. Hopefully you don't forget your mitts. I'll talk to you soon.